Hey, this is Matt,
Joe,
and Becky,
hosts of Pre-Recorded Live from The Mistake on the Lake, and you are listening to Blacker Than Black Times Infinity.
There is a story so strange in its implications that it defies ordinary class.
welcome to Black and the Black Times Infinity. I'm your host, Cthulhu's Prodigy, coming to you live and direct from the stack. We got Blue, Kronos, and Old Ninja here. I'm doing a short intro because we have the one and only Dominique Tipper with us. What's up, fam?
Hello.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You can't see our faces, but we all grinning ear to ear right now.
Yeah.
Aw, that's nice.
We're going to just start right in. You are the closest thing to I would say a Renaissance woman. You act, you dance, you sing. I think songwriting as well, I believe. And
Yep.
well, what's your first love, and how do you balance your time between these projects?
Well, I'm not singing or dancing anymore. I'd do it if I had to do it for a film role, but I'm solely acting now. So, I don't have to balance my time too much anymore. I'm kind of concentrating on the acting, but I can. They're part of my repertoire, as it were.
Awesome. So most of us know you from The Expanse.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's an awesome show. I think it's probably the best sci-fi show since I think Battlestar Galactica.
It's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. Are you a sci-fi fan at all? Like before you made the show?
I can't say specifically, I've always loved sci-fi stuff, but I wasn't like a die-hard fan. But everything, pretty much the majority of things I get cast in are sci-fi. So I've got a newfound appreciation for it, and I love being a part of it and a part of the fandom and being an actress in that genre myself. It's great. I love it.
So since you live in England, correct?
I do, in London, yeah.
And did you watch Red Dwarf growing up at all?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
If I'm honest.
No, it's all right. It's kind of an obscure comedy sci-fi
Because you've got to realise, I came into acting. I've only been acting about 4 years.
Oh wow!
So before that, I was very much a dancer. I was a backup dancer for 12 years.
Wow!
So my life consisted mostly of watching music videos, the MTV Music Awards. That was what I used to geek out over. So I watched films and TV, but I was never as into it as I was when I decided to massively cross over into acting. So, there's a lot of films and stuff I haven't seen that I've been catching up on, but that was always my thing, like music and dancing. So, I'm a bit late to the game,
No, that's all right.
That's cool. Well, in The Expanse, I know there's a lot of kind of special effects to show that you're kind of you're not in, there's no gravity or zero gravity, and you're doing a lot of wire work. What's that like having all the wires and harness, and how's it acting with the wires and stuff on?
It's tough, because with my dancing training, I had some experience with body movement, but you have to be so aware of your limbs. Aside from the fact you're just in wires, obviously, to make it look like zero G, everything moves differently. Yeah. You move differently, so it was hard to deliver lines and stay in the scene and be aware of what I was actually making myself look like I'm floating and shit. But it was hard. It was difficult. It's not the most comfortable scenario to be in. The harness is all around your private part, and it has to be very tight. But the end thing that we get, the end result, is gorgeous. So that's all that matters. But it was fun.
Yeah, it looks amazing. You can't even tell there's wires.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job.
I know, right?
I know at the end of the show they always show behind the scenes that you kind of get to see the wire work and stuff like that, and you can hear people complaining oh my God, this is so tight, I can't wait to take this off.
I know. We have an amazing visual effects team, and they had to work very hard, especially with my outfit, to kind of get rid of the harness out of all the scenes. So
well, you've got got like the tightest
Shout out to Bob.
outfit, I think, on the whole show. So,
I
yeah.
do. So I had a harness on underneath that, so there was a lot of work done to make it look like I wasn't basically wearing a nappy, you know, like a diaper.
Yeah.
Thank you for the translation. I was like, what is a nappy?
Remember when I'm talking to you guys.
No, I thought we learned something new.
Yeah, we always learn something
Yeah,
new.
we call them nappies.
So, Old Ninja here wants to ask, with all the, I really like strong female characters, especially in sci-fi, but you were saying that you're new to acting, but have you seen shows like Firefly, BSG, Battlestar Galactica, Aliens? Were you able to watch these films and draw?
Do you know what? I haven't seen any of them, so I know everyone's going to like horrifically gasp. But
We silently did that.
I hadn't seen any of them before I'd done the show. I heard about them, like especially Kaz is like our resident sci-fi geek, and he was very much talking about Firefly and Battlestar Galactica, and I had no idea what they were. So I knew what Alien was, but I never watched it because I don't really like monsters and things. So you know, strong women is a theme through my life. It's not just about what I see on TV and, you know, in films. Like, my mum is a strong woman. All the women around me are brilliant, strong women. And so it wasn't a far reach for me to want to portray that in my roles. Like, a lot of the roles I played, they're all kind of badass, kick-ass women that, you know, show their vulnerable side as well, like the full kind of thing, which is what I like. And I watch a lot of different shows like Game of Thrones and most currently The Walking Dead, which I'm obsessed with, and all the women in that are tough, brilliant, you know, flawed women. And so that naturally is what I gravitate to, because that's what I like to have around me, you know, in real life. So I think for me it was just like, she's great, can't wait to play her. It's echoes of what I'm around anyway. So yeah, I haven't seen all the others, but I'm glad I get to play one.
Okay, now you said you're watching Walking Dead. I have to ask, who's your favorite character on The Walking Dead?
Oh, that is such a hard question, because at different times I have different characters.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle of season 5, so quite a few have passed away, and I don't want to do any spoilers in case people are watching it. But at the moment, Maggie and Sasha, I love.
Oh. Yeah.
They're like 2 of my faves, and Glenn. I love. Actually, I'm not going to say that because Daryl is probably one of my favorites.
Everybody loves Daryl.
Everybody loves him.
Love Daryl. How can you not love Daryl?
Yeah, I think people would riot if Daryl were to die.
Yeah. They'd stop watching.
Oh my God, I can't. And Tyrese, I mean, Chad's on our show, and I love him in real life.
Yeah, that's right.
Brilliant.
People forget about that. Yeah, when I was watching, I was like, oh my God, he's from The Walking Dead.
Yes. So I have, but then, you know, at different moments I have different favorites. So it's quite a hard question. But at the moment, it's probably those people.
Would you ever want to be on the show on Walking Dead?
Oh my God. It's so funny because, like, as a fan, I'm like, yes. Play it cool and be like, well, you know, if there was a role.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna offer me, okay, fine.
What's
I'll be a
funny
walker.
is Chad was in London recently, and I got to meet Melissa McBride, who plays Carol.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah.
And I was a bit like trying to be so cool, but just wanted to go, oh, Walking Dead.
Starstruck.
I didn't. So I got to meet a few of the cast members, which was really cool because I'm watching it. But yeah, I mean, could you imagine? Who wouldn't want to be on The Walking Dead?
Actually, so now I'm kind of curious because they do have some actors on the show that actually asked to be on the show. So can you do an American accent?
Of course I can.
Let me hear.
I'm not going to do it now. But like, there's a film called DXM that should come out this year that I'm American in.
Awesome.
And yeah, my American accent is all right. I'm an actress. I have to be able to do one. It would be wrong if I couldn't.
There you go. Quick question. So, we're obviously huge comic book fans. We just talked about The Walking Dead, which actually came from the comics.
Yes.
Did you grow up reading any comics?
No, but I recently got into Saga.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Nice.
I absolutely love Saga, and I kind of like have a crush on the girls. Like if they ever done a TV or something version of it, I'd love to play her.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Oh,
perfect.
man.
She'd be
Do
perfect.
you
Yeah,
imagine?
yeah.
Hey, we gotta get that tweet going.
Reading, what's that one called about the wicked and the divine?
That too.
Oh my
I
God.
really enjoy it. I haven't read the second one yet, but I read the first one of that, like, because I get them in the kind of novel form.
Yeah, the
when
trade
they're-
paperback.
Yeah. I don't really buy the comics. And I have yet to, but I have The Runaways here, which I'm going to read.
I read that one.
Mishka read
And
it.
Why the Last Man, which I haven't read yet, but
Oh,
I got
wow.
that too.
reading that. I like reading them on set actually because they don't take up too much of my brain space. You know, like reading books and scripts and acting, they take up kind of the same space. So when I'm on set, I find reading books a bit much. It takes me too far out of where I am. So graphic novels are like, and comics are the best thing to read.
Wow, that's really interesting.
I got one more casting type of inquiry for you. So
Sure.
I know you didn't read a whole lot of comics growing up, but I think, this is Prodigy, you would make the most amazing Storm
I was thinking that too.
the
Oh
world
my
has ever
God.
seen.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, I know who Storm is. I would have, I mean, she's also the only superhero really I could play.
You got similar haircuts.
But yeah, I mean, I would love to play Storm.
That'd be awesome.
Absolutely would love that.
Now that you talked about your upcoming movie DXM, can you talk a little bit about that and like your character you're playing?
Yeah, so DXM is short for Deus Ex Machina, which means
Okay.
God from the Machine.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's a film about quantum physics, and you follow around a group of young students who are at this kind of school of excellence for quantum mechanics. And we come up with a way to transfer motor skills between people. And so it's really complicated to explain because it's kind of a bit Donnie Darko-ish, where you're not sure what timeline you're on ever. But the kind of basic story is you follow these students around, and with what they've discovered, you know, there's dark forces trying to take it for bad, and some of us want to do good with it, some of us don't, and you just kind of watch that scenario play out. And it plays with a lot of themes with like science and religion. You know, there's some really grand themes in there. Sam Neill's in it, which is really cool, and
nice.
all of the core cast are on huge kind of US TV shows. You've got Tom Payne, who's the lead. He's new. He's just been cast in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And then you've got
Jesus.
Oliver Stark. He's on Into the Badlands.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you've got Malia Kryling, who's in Tyrant. There's me, who's in The Expanse, and we're all the core cast. I play Maddie Romero, and she's her specialties are cybernetic ethics and philosophy. And I'm religious, so I kind of play a lot with trying to prove God with my theories and stuff, and with my research.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's really interesting. It's quite a complex film, but it's really cool.
When's the release date?
I'm not sure yet. I think it's coming out this summer.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it definitely sounds really
Yeah,
good.
they're still working on the distribution and stuff, but it's cool. It's a cool sci-fi film.
Yeah.
We will keep an eye out for it.
We will definitely keep. This sounds like
Yes.
something that we would definitely watch and recommend to
You'll
everyone.
love it. Yeah.
I
And
can't wait.
once I get the release date, I'll tweet all that and stuff as well.
Cool. We'll retweet and all that. So
Yeah, for
it'd be great.
sure.
All right, next question. Who are your biggest influences for dance and music, since you did dance and music for a long time?
Not to put you on the spot.
No, it's fine. I mean, I am a huge Michael Jackson fan.
Yeah.
And growing up, he was a massive influence on me. He still is, really. I listen to his music all the time. He's probably the biggest one. And then I was a huge Mariah Carey fan when I was young, because as well she was the only mixed race kind of artist out around that time that I knew of.
True.
And then I was massively influenced by like mid to late 90s, early 2000s pop. I love pop music, and so like Britney Spears, NSYNC, Aaliyah,
I miss that girl.
That whole scene with all the really cool music videos around that time was like just one of my favorite eras of pop. So that was, for my music and for my dancing, that was a huge influence on me. It still is. I love it.
I was waiting to hear like some, like English group I haven't heard of before.
No, I mean, I used to, like, when we had MTV when I was a kid, I used to videotape all music videos. It was the only time you could see, like, kind of pop R&B and black artists when MTV Base was a black channel. And I used to record it and watch it over and over again. And, yeah, that was my thing.
And now MTV's, like, pretty much gone. They don't play music anymore. It sucks.
Yeah.
I know.
It's all TV shows.
Well, now,
I know.
most Americans actually don't travel a whole lot outside of the U.S. But I'd love your thoughts on what it was like growing up as a mixed British and Dominican young girl.
Yes.
Oh, we get personal.
I think it was, London is, so different. The UK is so different to the US. And it's funny because I was talking about this the other day with someone, and it was a very different experience. The way it is in the US at the moment, and it was then when I was growing up. I think our divisions were very much class-based. There was still racism, but it was nothing. It's not as segregated here as it is in the US between races. Like, and I'm talking about more like in neighborhoods. Like, that fascinates me, and I find here it was a class thing. If you were working class, lower class, then you'd grow up on a council estate, which is kind of like the projects. And that's how I grew up. So you were just with around loads of other people from all different races that were of your class, and that's how our separation was very much. I didn't experience much racism, but I was very much a little kind of, I don't think people really knew what to do with me on both sides, on black and white sides. I found, I was born in '85. I went to school in the '90s. It was weird, but I had a lovely upbringing. It's just, that's the difference. Like, it wasn't a racial divide, it was more a class divide. So that was always, that's kind of the main difference I find between growing up in the US and growing up here.
Have you done any traveling since you've been, been in the entertainment industry?
Oh my God, I've traveled since I was a kid, because I used to be a professional cheerleader.
Oh, wow.
That
explains a lot.
From the ages of like 12 for about 5 or 6 years. So I traveled a lot with them when I was a kid, like to New York, Tokyo, Hong Kong. And then I've always traveled independently, and then with work I traveled all the time. So I've traveled quite a lot, actually.
What's your favorite place to visit?
So I recently, last year for the first time, I went to Dominica, which was, I'd never been to the Caribbean before, and that was just one of the most gorgeous experiences, partly because I'm half Dominican and it was like nice to see my homeland. And because it's like Jurassic Park there. But they call it the Nature Isle, and it is just the most gorgeous place I've ever seen. That is one of my favorite places. I love New York, and I've been there about 5 times. So whenever I go there, I love that. And Hong Kong was also one of my favorite places to visit, for sure. But I just love traveling, so wherever I can go.
Yeah, me too. I used to travel for a living as well, and I haven't traveled for the past, well, it's been a while, but I want to get back out there and travel some more. I've been on cruises and stuff, but it used to be like every couple of months or weeks I would be in different countries and stuff.
Yeah, it's so it expands, excuse the pun, expands your view of the world, and I think it just makes people more well-rounded. So I think it's good for people to travel.
Yeah, I say the same thing, that it makes you more a complete person if you travel and see different cultures and stuff.
For sure.
Kind of getting back to the Expanse, your character Naomi, what inspirations do you take from like your real life that you bring to that character?
That's a good question. I think, funnily enough, there's parallels in how to carry yourself in the entertainment industry as a woman around a lot of men, which obviously I have to do on the show. So I feel like it was an experience within an experience. It's the first TV show I'd been on, and there were a lot of men, naturally. You know, we're a very diverse set on and off the screen, but there's always still a lot more men than women. So conducting myself between the men and the male actors and then having to do that on screen was a very interesting process for me, and I think the more comfortable I got off screen made me more comfortable on screen. So I definitely took that into the work. I didn't have to reach too far for that, and I do have a wonderful cast of actors and a wonderful crew, so everyone was great, but there's still a parallel there. And I think, I look quite tough in real life.
Yes, you do.
But I'm actually quite girly, and I think a lot of people that know me know that. So I think, I wanted to make sure Naomi's vulnerability and her femininity come across within her toughness. So that was another thing that I tried to put into her, I think.
Yeah, it's coming across great in the show because the character seems to have some degree of control over Amos, who basically nobody else has control over, and I'm really interested as to why. And it kind of makes me really interested because it kind of gives off that you're actually more badass than he is, but they haven't. Back. Yeah, but they haven't showed why yet. And there's also, I guess, clues that you might have been in the OPA or some kind of super spy or something. So I'm really interested in the character.
I think it's just a very complex relationship between them, and for all the things Amos is, he has a great bullshit gauge, and I think Naomi is his moral compass, and he knows she's a good person in her heart, and I think that's what makes him listen to her. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. She provides protection. I mean, he provides protection for her, and she gives him the things, on his shortcomings. She helps him out with that side of things. So I think it's just a very bizarre pairing, but ultimately it's about survival. And that's kind of how I look at their relationship.
Well, so I have a daughter, and so does Kronos. And the character Naomi is obviously powerful, resourceful, extremely intelligent. What would you like young girls to keep in mind while watching this amazing character? And hashtag Black Girl Magic.
I love that. Hashtag Black Girl Magic. I just feel like, I said this in an interview before, and I still stand by it. I just hope that she inspires young girls and women, because, whether it is to be the job that she's doing in real life, like an engineer of a spaceship, or just the way she carries herself around a group of men, and know that it's all right to be tough, and it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to have flaws, and it's just okay to be a woman. There's so much of a strive for perfection all the time for women, and I love it that there's more characters on TV that are so far from perfect, but that's okay. Like Jessica Jones and like Naomi. And so I think for me, I just want women and young girls to take away from it that we can just be all of who we are with no apologies, and that's okay, and strive for what we want, and make sure we put our foot down in, when we're told maybe no, and we think it's the right thing, to stand by that.
Yeah, it's really been great to see, especially a woman of color in a sci-fi show. I think the last one I can really, actually not the last
Firefly.
one. There's Firefly, and then before that it was like Uhura.
Yeah.
That I could think of, you know? It's just like, it's that long ago.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
This old ninja here. We'd love to get your thoughts on what do you think about the representation of minorities in movies and TVs nowadays.
I think TV is really doing great. I think there's more and more shows out, like The Walking Dead, like The Expanse, that are making an effort to have people of colour and women in good roles that it isn't necessarily stereotypical to their colour or their gender. I think film has a long way to go, but I just feel like it's everybody's responsibility to find a way to go forward. You know, whether there's programs in place that help writers develop projects that have more minorities and women, people of colour in their roles, you know, or making a conscious effort to enforce something that, you know, if a show or a film, you know, not to dampen people's creativity, but if there's something that can have a multicultural cast, then make an effort to do that. And for agents to push their women and their people of colour that they have on their books for roles that they're not necessarily specifically cast for, but could do, and suggest, you know, I think it's everyone's responsibility. I you know, watching the Oscars, I'm glad it was brought to light, the Oscars So White thing, but it's deeper than that. It has to come from the bottom of the rung, so that there are films at the Oscars with people of colour and women as lead roles in.
Yeah.
It has to start from the beginning, you know. It was very important to highlight it, but we have to start with programs, with initiatives for women, for writers. We need to write more films with black people in and with women in. Like, I think it just has to start from the bottom up. So that's kind of my view on it. I think we can do more across the board, but hopefully with what's been happening, we can bring it to light, make it happen a bit more. And shows like The Expanse and The Walking Dead and everything Shonda Rhimes does is a really good way forward. I'm a huge Grey's Anatomy fan, so
yeah, it'd be really good if the Oscars like they don't have movies that have the stereotype where black people are slaves and like women have to get naked and show off their body for them to be able to win the Oscar. Like Halle Berry, she won her Oscar because she did a scene where she took off her top, which was
I mean, I don't
weird.
think it was solely because that. I do think she done a great performance in it, but it's the fact that it just needs to be more varied, full stop. Like, even 12 Years a Slave, it's a beautiful film. Lupita was phenomenal in it. Chiwetel was, but it's like, I look at the films that were nominated and you know, quite a few of them could have had, even films that have just come out, or films that are just being made, like fantasy films, that can have black people in them. There's nothing that says it has to be a full white cast, you know? And so there's so many films that come out, not just black people, but all minorities, like, that could, I think, if a bit more thought went into them, they could vary up the casts to represent society better. So, you know, there's period things that can't go that way, which I understand, and I don't want to stop seeing those. I love period dramas. They're some of my favorites. I don't want to stop seeing those, but when stuff comes out and I'm like, why couldn't this have been a more diverse cast? That's when I get annoyed, because I think not enough thought has gone into it.
Yeah, it's especially weird, like here in America, because I think it's like 70-something% are there Caucasians, but there's still 30-something% of people that aren't, and you don't see that same representation as far as movies go and entertainment goes. You know, it's really strange.
Yeah, I think it was a great point that you made, that TV has been doing a much better job than films, both domestically here in the U.S. and internationally. And I think that was such a great point, because movies reach, I think, maybe a wider audience, possibly, but I mean, I think they need to be a bit more responsible and representing like everyone of the world. Like it's not just one shade or one like type of person. It should include all of us. And I think that you made a great point about that.
It's just boring though. the world itself is so exciting because there's so many different people in it, and it's boring to keep seeing the same thing on screen. It's getting boring. Like, I just find the whole thing embarrassing. That's the way I feel about it. Aside from the injustice and all the other things, I find it embarrassing that it's 2016 and there is a bloody hashtag saying Oscars so white. Like, it's embarrassing. If aliens come to Earth and I had to be the first person to greet them and they were like, so you've sorted out this like gender equality thing, right? And I'm like, oh no, not yet. And they're like, okay, well, what about the black and white thing? That's the way it is, right? And I'd have to be like, no, we haven't fixed that either. No, sorry, but we're gonna leave.
You're not ready yet.
You know, like, I just find it embarrassing. I'm like, come on, people. Like, what? Yes, change up the Oscar panel. Straight Out of Compton should have been in the running. Jason Mitchell should have been nominated. Out of all the films I saw, that was one of the best performances I saw this year. So, yeah, there's a problem if stuff like that isn't going in. You know, Beast of No Nation, I'm confused.
Yeah, that was good.
How did that kid not get nominated? So it's just like, you know, I don't want to put it down to a black thing, but it is. It's like, you need more people with diversity on the board. You do.
Yeah.
Can I? I'm sorry, but can I ask a quick question, piggybacking off of that? So there was some controversy with the casting for the Nina Simone role with Zoe Saldana, and I know she's your Dominican play sister, but do you have any take on that? I mean, some people are very upset, you know, even people who are in Nina Simone's family about that casting.
I know. I've been kind of looking at it on social media. I don't think it's great, if I'm honest. I love Zoe Saldana. I think she's wonderful and a brilliant actress. But it's difficult because it's like, as an actress, and I think maybe, I mean, there's plenty of actresses that could play her, but I wonder if at the time she was a name that could have got the film made, for a start. That's one thing I'm going to say. I don't know how that went. I don't know if that was a thing. And as an actress, from an actor's point of view, I see that she maybe wanted to take that on to see if she could do it. But I do think there is a responsibility there as an actress to maybe know that it's not going to go down that well if you are basically doing blackface for a role. Like, I don't see how, you know, aside from the fact that she was maybe not the right actress to play it, it's like, it's weird. It's like, it's a little bit weird. So I kind of, from the stuff that I've seen her say, I can sympathize with her, but I don't think it was a great decision all round, from maybe on her part, on the producer's part. Like, there's plenty of black actresses that could have played Nina and it be more realistic and not get everyone's backs up. I just, I don't think it was great. Like, I wouldn't have done it.
Wow. All right.
That's me. Like, if it was offered to me and I was in that position, I wouldn't have done it, because I would have been like, I'm half white, this may look a bit weird. I love Nina and would love to portray her, but I think it would look weird. So that would have been my response. I can see it from both sides, but I don't think it was great.
Yeah. All right. So we want to be very aware of your time. So we only had so much time we could have with you today. So I'm pretty sure you have stuff to do, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So then we will end on that then.
Chocolate banana.
I didn't have to use the word.
We'll use it for you. It's
That's a safe word.
No, we watch the time when we have people on that are important.
Thank you so much. You know, we absolutely love you, and we're going to be live tweeting The Expanse, and definitely going to go squad up and watch DXM
for sure.
Yes, and as I say, I'll provide the information for all my projects that I'm doing as and when, so you'll know through my Twitter and stuff. But thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed our chat.
Yeah.
Do you want to give out any of your Twitter handle, or where people can reach you or watch you on?
Yes, so my Twitter, I'm most active on Twitter because I like talking, and it's at Miss Tipper, and it's MI55TIPPER, and then I have Instagram as well, and that's Miss Tipper, MISSTIPPER.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Hashtag Black Girl Magic.
Also hashtag International Women's Day.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday, right?
Yeah, it was yesterday, so happy belated. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Much love.
Nice speaking to you. Bye.
Bye.